it says live, so it should be,
Okay.
right?
Okay. So let's
So we
see.
are live.
Here we are live. Is it okay if I start the intro?
Well, how does it look? Because there's a mess behind me. I'm trying to shift, but it's not really kind of working.
No,
Eh?
I think it looks fine behind you.
All right, cool.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and start, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hi everybody. Welcome to Walking in the Mist, a place where we discuss all things from the mystical to the mysterious, from the paranormal to the metaphysical. This is your host, Jason Spillman. Today I'm here with my special guest, Anton Rossi, who is here to talk about being an empath, empathy, and its effect on the body and mind. Anton is a qualified life and psychic coach, Reiki healer, angel healer, and holistic therapist with also over 30 years experience in reading tarot. She began reading tarot when she was only 13 years old and was given her first tarot deck, their Tarot de Marseille, by her grandmother. Currently, she works full-time doing tarot readings while expanding her business. Her motto is to look for the holistic approach whenever it has not been considered before. Everyone give a warm Anton Rossi. Hi, Anton.
Hiya.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Great. Well,
I have a bit of an echo here, but if you can hear me fine, that's okay.
no, I can hear you okay.
Okay,
So,
cool.
wow, it's really great to talk to you, and it's really fun because we've kind of known each other for about 6 years, more or less.
Yeah, about that.
And we just recently began speaking again, and it's a really great time to talk to you and to get to know you and to learn a little bit about being an empath. And I think that you've been working on that for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it's great to see you. It's funny. So now you are in London.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and so you're Italian born. And how long have you been living in London?
Uh, what are we now? 24 years. 25 25 in January.
Wow,
Yeah, I know
amazing.
I'm old.
So it's funny. So this is kind of a European show. I'm here in Madrid, and you're just an hour before me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be an empath, and just to start out to talk a little bit about what it means to be an empath.
Okay, well, there are a lot of different views outside, out there really, but to me is that everyone has pretty much a certain degree of empathy in them, but not everyone is actually a true empath. And I think also that the more you work at it, it's a bit like your intuition. The more you work at it, the stronger it can get. I think being an empath is, to make a silly analogy, is almost like being a bit of a sponge,
Okay.
where you are actually absorbing the feelings, the emotions, and the vibration of your environment, not just of people actually, but also of the environment. So places like houses, and anything that could hold certain kind of energies.
That was what I was wondering. Have you felt anything from the recent events, world events in the last few weeks that have happened, not only in France, but
Yes, I mean, and I think a lot of people probably have, but that's what the difference come into it, because especially with such big events, when you have the medias and the social media as well really big into it, you don't just pick up on the actual event, the upset of the event, the negativity of the event, if you want, but also pick up on the emotions of the people around it. It becomes almost like a deluge of emotions being thrown at something by people, be either angry, upset, or simply well, simply just very sad about what's happened, and it takes practice, I think, to actually not detach yourself, because that's the wrong word probably for it, but to be able to cope with it without actually absorbing it too much.
Okay.
I did. I don't watch the news anymore, not for years. My intake of news is Facebook pretty much. This is how I got to know that that had happened. And yes, it was really, really upsetting, but I ended up in tears, actually, at the end of the evening.
Yeah. So maybe you're feeling, what you're saying is you're feeling more of a social response to the event, but also maybe part of the event as well.
Yes,
So
you
you're
sort of become part of it. You sort of blend into it, if you wish, for want of a better word.
okay. Well, I think that's really amazing because I think that, I mean, I think that everyone has this feeling of like picking up on things in their immediate surroundings. And I think that it's really quite remarkable that you said, some people are more adapt or more able to feel these things. Are there any places that you will go in your daily life that you will just try to avoid going? Is there any places that you feel like, oh, I just don't want to be there?
For me personally, yeah, generally crowded places. I'm not really good with crowds at all. So crowded trains, crowded tube. I can do clubs and gigs and things like that, but I can't. Shopping malls, I suppose, that's the worst for me. Many a times I've had to get out of there.
Yeah, I feel sometimes it's kind of strange, and a lot of people have said this, and I've heard this many times, that a lot of people had that feeling either in shopping malls or maybe like at the supermarket, places like this where you feel like a strain once you're inside because you can feel the emotions of people. And I can feel that as well. Like when I go into the metro, sometimes I can just like feel the energy around me. Do you feel
I
that?
think I think we can all feel that to certain degrees. You know, you can walk into a place and feel uncomfortable. Everyone can get that at some point, but I think there is a difference between just picking up on on some vibration or energy and being a complete empath as such. When I was a
Okay.
child, it used to be restaurants. When I was about 10, 9, 10. I used
Okay.
to have my grandmother, bless her, she used to have to take me out because I couldn't cope with the crowds, and especially, you know, when you get places where there's a lot of people talking at the same time and you get that sort of humming noise.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, it used to really affect me.
So when did you first learn that you were an empath?
Sorry?
When did you first learn that you were an empath? At what
I,
age?
I think quite late in life, possibly within the last 10 years. Um, I've always thought I was sensitive, always believed that everyone is sensitive to some degree. But for me, I have to literally really reason with it and put it into a logic perspective to be able to cope sometimes. And sometimes it's not possible. You can go on a train and sit next to someone and they are really, really negative, and you can't help it. It just happens.
Right. What? So you were talking a little bit about what it is to be like an empath versus somebody that's empathic. Like, what is the difference, like being an empath or just like being empathic and just being able to kind of feel people? Like, can you explain that?
Again, there's a lot of people saying different things and having different opinions, but obviously I'm going to give you what I believe, what is my opinion. Being empathetic or empathic is, for example, I'm taking again the example of what happened in Paris. Everyone that has a heart, every human being could feel sympathy, could feel that that's a very bad thing to happen, and could feel sad about it. But being actually empathic is almost identifying with it and absorbing the emotions of the event. That's just an
Okay.
example, but it could be anything. So it almost has physical effects on you, rather than just feeling like, oh my God, that's really bad. I'm sad that's happened. That is normal. That is being human.
Yeah.
But being able, and it works the other way too. It's not just, we're talking negative events now, but it also works for positive events. For example, in relationships, even if you're really happy, you can tend to absorb those emotions as well.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So there are positive and negative aspects of it that you can really pick up on.
Yeah, because people tend to focus on the negatives. Or if you're an empath, you do absorb the people emotion and it's negative. Yes, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can sit next to a person and think, wow, this is like, feels so good. This person has such good energy around them.
Oh wow! Can you think of where you really
Sorry?
felt like? Can you think of a specific example where you felt like, oh, I really feel something with this person, or can you think of
In
any,
a good way or in a bad way?
like in a good way? Like, can you think of any specifics?
Um, I I have a friend that I met many, many years ago, and I knew instantly that that was someone that was going to be my friend for a long time. The energy that I picked up from them was really, really good from point one. This is someone that is still friends. I'm still friends with. But I've also sat on the train next to someone and just pick up really good vibrations from them, and the opposite as well. I mean, I remember about 10, 15 years ago, I was already living here, and I was going down the shop to buy some bread. And as I was walking down the road, this young guy kind of walked towards me, and I remember it to this day. I remember his face and how he was dressed, and he had this leather coat on, and he just went to pass me, and he didn't do anything to me. But this, how can I put it? It's difficult to explain. This aura, this energy of, sorry to use a word that is associated perhaps with religion, but of absolute evil. It was horrible. I actually had to stop, and I was sick or threw up.
Wow.
And he didn't do anything to me. He you know, didn't talk to me, or he just passed me, and I felt almost like he was surrounded by this thick cloud of. Oh, it was horrible. It gives me the shivers just thinking about it now.
Wow. Have you felt that before, or only in the incident?
It never happened again. That was the only time that something like that happened. I have no idea who he was. Never seen him again.
Wow, that's quite interesting.
Yeah, it was. It was horrible. It was. I actually made me gag.
Oh my goodness.
And I think that's.
Well,
Sorry, I think that's the difference between just picking up on something and being intuitive and actually really, really absorbing what the energy around that person is.
okay. Have you ever had a false impression of someone like when you first meet them, or have you ever had the experience? Because I more as I'm getting older that like when I meet someone for the first time, I feel like if I get a bad first impression, I have to trust that. Like, are you feeling? Do you have those first impressions that are like at the beginning or not so accurate, or do you know where I'm
I'm,
getting?
yeah, I agree with you on this. I always follow my first impression. And in 47 years, well, okay, don't count my when I was a baby because obviously I was too young, but in most of my adult life, I've only ever been wrong once.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
always
What are
trust my
some?
first impression.
Can you tell me about some of the senses that you have being an empath? You have the intuitive sense, but also like, have you ever like talking about your life, have you ever picked up anything through scent or through, like words? These types of impressions. Have you
From,
ever
sorry,
felt
can you
that?
say again? Because you were breaking up.
Sorry. Have you ever had an experience through smell or through hearing that tells you something other than just your basic senses? What are some of the senses that you use as an an empath, do you ever have like smell, like where you smell something and you feel, oh, that doesn't smell right?
No, personally, no, not with the other senses.
Okay.
Um, I can't think of any smells. Can I can associate smells with certain memories, but that would go beyond the empathy um, topic, really.
Okay.
No, personally, no, I haven't.
Okay. Um, what are some of the signs or like basic characteristics if somebody thinks that they're an empath? What are some of the telltale signs or characteristics, traits that you are an empath? What can you tell people?
Feeling tired after certain events, for example, as we were saying, crowds and crowded environment or near certain people, feeling always drained, a feeling of mm, not anguish, but a feeling of being really sad, especially when you're picking up on negative emotions. When you're around people that are constantly draining you, which I call and personally like sort of psychic vampires, when people are constantly giving off negative energy and trying to get your good one. So yeah, generally a feeling of tiredness, being drained, being not feeling really good, or your energy, you can see your energy levels depleting all the time when you're doing certain things, or when you go certain places, or when you see certain people.
Okay. Well, I think I can, and I think a lot of people can relate with that idea of psychic vampires and the idea of someone that you're around and you just feel like they're taking your energy. I think that
It
horrible
takes
feeling.
It is horrible, and I think and I know some people that actually don't get that at all. They don't feel it at all. They're just completely detached. And again, that's one of the difference about being an empath and not being one. Um, in a sense, I think that being an empath is a positive experience, but sometimes it can be very draining. And if you, especially if you bump into someone that is an energy drainer, if you wish, and it could be a relationship, for example, and it could be really, really bad for your health as well.
Okay. What are some of the problems that would happen to you health wise with being an empath? Or the other way too, like so what are some of the benefits of an empath?
I think the benefits would be that you are more aware in a sense. And like you were saying earlier about getting first impressions and trusting it, it kind of helps as you go through life because people that might not follow that or might not get that for whatever reason, um, you kind of get a surprise at the end. Whereas it's not that, because we have free will as well, but at the same time, if you're sort of, what they say is forewarned is forearmed kind of thing. Whereas the non-benefits would be possibly a lot of psychosomatic health issues. For example, things like psoriasis, which is caused by stress
Hmm.
and can come and go. I wouldn't say long-term effects in terms of major illnesses, but mostly psychosomatic or problems with anxiety and things like that. Feeling
Okay.
anxious, feeling a bit down.
Yeah, I wonder people who are affected and have depression because of their gifts. I don't know if that's something.
I can't hear you, sorry.
Sorry, uh, is it possible that someone who is feeling stressed or even depressed, this could be a reaction of being an empath?
To a certain extent, yes. Obviously,
Okay,
depression is also a chemical imbalance of the brain, so it depends what causes this. But most certainly, it would not help if you're someone that is really sensitive to your environment.
okay. What advice who is feeling negative energy and wants to sort of protect themselves?
I would go the way of trying to Well, first of all, avoid if it's someone that is really bad for you, then you should avoid that anyway. If it's a situation that makes you feel bad, or if it's someone that, for example, in a relationship that is really being negative or treating you badly, then obviously you have to address that yourself. But there are lots of technique now. One of them is mindfulness, which I've been looking at and trying out for a while myself in a course that I've been doing. And mindfulness is not a new technique, but it can be quite helpful into shifting your focus from your feelings to the actual present moment. So you kind of detach yourself a bit. If you experience feeling of depressions or anxiety, cognitive behavioral therapy is very, very good. It's a non-medical and non-invasive technique that it's can help with your self-esteem as well. If you're looking at other holistic methods, then of course you can use crystals, you can use shielding methods like grounding, for example. But generally looking at focusing less on absorbing energies and more on yourself, that I find that helps me, to be honest.
Okay. I've heard a lot about the shielding method, and I think that's
Yeah,
kind of interesting.
you can do that. It's almost like, again, that shifts your focus. It's, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but it's almost like a mini meditation that shifts your focus. You're taking away the focus from what's worrying you, what's making you anxious and what's upsetting you, and you're putting it into visualizing something that is positive. And I think that's why it's helpful.
Yeah. I know that you're a member of your group,
Sorry?
Impact United.
Oh yeah, the group, yes.
Yes, it's your group on Facebook. How do people feel when they first join this group? Because I feel like a lot of people who are still a little bit alienated. I feel like there may be problems with like they might feel guilty or they might alone as an impact.
I think so. I think there was someone that posted, this was about a year ago, about not being able to go out, or almost to the point of becoming agoraphobic because she was so worried about interaction with other people and feeling bad about it. But again, you have to look at how much of this is empathy and how much of this is perhaps other issues that are affecting this person that also are making it a bit more difficult. I think we're all different, and degrees of empathy vary, and not everyone is an empath. I disagree. I was reading on the internet the other day that someone was saying in a blog that everyone is an empath to some degree. I actually disagree.
Okay.
Well, you can't. There are some people that cannot be. For example, a psychopath cannot be an empath. So it's almost like impossible. Or someone that is a sociopath even.
Okay.
But yes.
Wow. So I think that we've talked a lot about empathy. I just wanted to know a little bit about you and about your practice, what you do, just to explain a little bit about what you're doing now and if you have any projects coming up.
I'm doing a lot of things actually, but probably too much. I recently left my corporate 9 to 5 job about 3 months ago. It was completely, soul destroying, and I decided to completely take a leap of faith and do what I love, taking a pay cut and everything, but I'm much, much happier. I have been doing, as you said when you introduced me, tarot readings for over 30 years now. But I'm also an holistic therapist as well, and I also do dream interpretations, as you know, and I try to pretty much incorporate all of my knowledge that is holistic, including therapies, with everything else, including tarot. So, for example, if you were to come to me for a reading, I would probably incorporate what I feel would be helpful from my knowledge of holistic therapies into that as well. So I try to do a bit different. And, it's almost like taking everything and giving it a holistic approach. At the moment, I'm concentrating on expanding that, but it's only been 3 months since I've gone solo, so I've it's getting there, but it's gonna take some time for the yeah.
Interesting. So I was talking to and you said you international in different parts of the world.
Sorry, I can't hear a word. Sorry, Jason.
I talked to you a couple of weeks ago, and you talked about some of your clients. You said that you have a lot of international clients with
Yes,
tarot,
yes.
and you said Australia, the United States.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I face to face are obviously mostly in England, but most of my online customers are actually not in the UK. They're mostly in the US, Australia, Canada.
Very exciting.
Mm, I mean, I love it. I mean, distance readings are my favorite readings anyway. I've always loved doing distance reading more than I love doing face to face, but that's just my personal preference.
Do you have any specific questions that keep coming up?
Any issues?
Yeah, any issues that you think are reoccurrent from your clients? I mean, you don't have to say, but are there any like big red flags or issues that always reoccur for your clients?
Sorry, can you explain? What do you mean by that? In their life, in my life, or?
In their life, are there any that just keep jumping out to you that are interesting to talk about?
Um, the recurring clients, yes. I wouldn't say that I have seen anyone with major issues actually recurring. People shift and change. The energies do change. So for the clients that I've been reading through the years, the cards read much different than they did a year or 2 or 3 ago. No, I wouldn't say I have encountered anyone with any major reoccurring issues. No, not at the moment, anyway.
Okay. You talked a little bit about dream interpretation, and it sounds like you're really interested in this topic as well.
Mm.
Um, what brought you to dream interpretation, or like what's first made you excited about this topic?
My dreams, because they are absolutely insane since I was a child. I actually remember some dreams I've had when I was 7 or 8.
And you
Um,
still
yeah, I still remember them. Some of them were. I used to suffer from such sort of nightmares and night terrors when I was younger. Not so much now, but my dreams are always in color, always vivid, and generally speaking, I remember them very well. And so,
wow.
yeah, so through the years, I really developed an interest. And some of them were obvious, you've been through a difficult day, and the symbols that you get do relate to that particular day. Like the other night, I was watching a film with something on it, and I dreamt about it. That's just projection. But some of them have been to me been precognitive as well. Uh,
Okay.
and yeah, so I developed an interest through the years. It's a it's a huge field. I don't think you can really narrow it down to something small.
Yeah, I think sometimes you do have productive dreams after you watch a film, or maybe even after you had an event in your life during the day. You kind of have a dream that mirrors the film, or maybe another type of dream you can sort of take and you can interpret. So there are so many different types of dreams, I think.
Yeah, and that's why I usually suggest for people to keep a journal, because you will forget eventually. You might remember the main dream, but you will forget what the symbols can be very small and insignificant at the time. But then if you keep a journal, then you can go back and you can relate to those symbols for that time.
Okay. I wanted to, before we go here, I just wanted to read a quote that really kind of reminded me in a way of you, but it's a little bit, I would say it's on the pessimistic side. Not that the pessimistic side reminds me of you, but um, I think it's about being an empath because it's a quote from Annie Lennox,
Okay.
and I think that for some reason I really felt like I should read this and then just to get your opinion of the quote and hear what. So Annie Lennox says, humankind seems to have an enormous capacity for savagery, for brutality, for the lack of empathy and compassion.
Oh,
What
is that it?
do you agree that humankind is has a lack of empathy?
Some, like I said earlier, some people don't have empathy at all. Like intuition, it can be silenced. I think you can if you want to really detach yourself. You can't stop yourself feeling, but you can make it less intense if you wish. Yes, I would say that since there seem to be a lot of human beings around that are easily programmable, if you want, for want of a better word, yeah, there's plenty of people out there that lack empathy.
Okay.
And then you can look. I don't know if you saw that, but I posted something myself yesterday that I was working last night and I came across this quote from one of my favorite movies. Did you see it at all?
I don't know, maybe.
Hold on, I'll just find it for you because I've got it here somewhere. Oh, there you go. And do you remember the movie, The Green Mile?
Oh yes, I saw that. You posted
You
that.
saw that, yeah, and that is the other side of Annie Lennox quote because she's saying she's perceiving it that way, that she's perceiving, as you said, the pessimistic side of it. She sees it as almost as like lack of hope in terms of uh, humanity not having any empathy. Whereas
Right.
this quote, if I can read it quickly,
Sure.
it's just part of the actual dialogue that John Coffey has in this film, which usually makes me cry, tears, rivers. And it says, I am tired, boss. Mostly I'm tired of people being ugly to each other. I'm tired of all the pain I feel and hear in the world every day. There's too much of it. It's like pieces of glass in my head all the time. And I think this last sentence is like pieces of glass in my head all the time is such a great depiction of empathy. I think it's the best I've ever seen. And I mean, that film moves me to tears, as I said all the time anyway. Because he is an empath. John Coffey, he is an empath. He's an innocent, in a sense, being. He can feel it so bad that to him is actually physically painful.
Beautiful.
Really
You put
sad, but it is beautiful. And it's probably one of the best depictions of empathy that I've ever seen. I just came across it yesterday for completely by chance.
great.
I think
Anton,
Annie vision is a bit pessimistic, but then
yeah,
again,
it's
yeah,
true. I think that she's dealt with so many things throughout her life, and I think that she like many people kind of get stuck in a rut.
yeah, you do. It's the same with I'm sorry, I'm going back to this, but it's the same with. I had a conversation with a friend of mine about relationship about a year ago or so, and I've had some really bad experiences, and then my friend asked me, "How can you even think of trusting again?" And I said, well, you have to because we're all different. There is no such a thing as the same person as you anywhere in the world, unless you have a twin, and even then, you still be different.
Yeah,
So how can you need to work on yourself to rebuild that trust, to rebuild that self-esteem, and this is in everything, even in career, and it's hard work. It took me many years to get to where I am now, to be honest, and I still haven't finished.
yeah, really kind of cool. You said that you you quit your job. You now you're doing something that you really love, And I think that the whole energy just has shifted in your
Yeah.
life, doing what you want to do, and being the person maybe that you want to be, and just trusting. What do you think about that? I think that it's completely changed, not changed the energy, but it's like, what is your opinion about
Oh,
this?
it has changed the energy. It has changed it immensely. It took me months to make the decision to actually quit. It was difficult. It was difficult because although the job wasn't very good, I had a fixed wage every month. And I don't have a family, so that I had disposable income was mine and mine only. So plus the future, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. It's not like I'm 25. So it took me months to get to that, but I think it's the best thing, one of the best things that I ever did.
I
And it
think
has
it's
the energy is completely everything has started in a different way. It's just amazing when you
I
open
think
a door.
thing I think that just your habit or changing and doing something different. It's like going down a different street one day. You're walking every day, taking the same path. And one day, if you decide to take another path, I think that you have to be brave and do that.
Yeah, because not everyone can do that, I
Yeah,
think.
because it
Regardless of personal situation, I don't think everyone I know, even in terms of friends, etc., we're all different. And I've done this now 2 or 3 times in my life. I've completely cut and changed from 0 to 1,000, saying, literally, sod it, I'm not doing this, I'm starting again. It's the same when I left. I mean, when I left to come almost 25 years ago, I couldn't even speak a word of English. I just left.
it's amazing. I
Well,
can
I'm a
I
little more stupid, I don't know, but here I am today talking to you, which if I didn't make that choice, I wouldn't be here talking to you, and I'm very happy that I'm here talking to you.
it's really I mean I same, but I came I didn't speak any word of Spanish. And, here I am in the center of Madrid after, for how many years, since 2007. And
Mm.
I'm able to communicate pretty well. I teach English, so, there's that little bit of a handicap for me, but I'm pretty good at communicating, and my level is good. But wow, going at that young age, and just completely changing is really, really extremely brave.
I don't all the choices that I made, I don't actually regret. Everything that I decided has brought me to where I am now. It might not be perfect, but it's where I pretty much wanted to be. So I'm glad that I did. It took a lot. It did take courage. It was painful as well. I've been through some difficult experiences. I don't have a family here. My family is in Italy, and they never really helped me financially. I've always been on my own on that too. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't mind though. I mean, it's taught me a lot. It's got me to where I am, and it's introduced some wonderful, wonderful people in my life. And again, that's about being an empath. Because,
exactly.
at the end of the day, yes, I made a decision even now to leave my job, but I did follow my intuition. I followed what I felt was right.
Right. Thank you for doing this interview, and thank you,
You're welcome.
and take care. And I would just like to give a shout out to all of the mist walkers. See you next time, mist walkers, and goodbye. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye. Okay.